Stav, Abby and Matt. You're only a what if away from great holidays. What if? It's Aussie for travel. Stav, Abby and Matt.
Brisbane wakes up with Stav, Abby and Matt on B105.
I think we've all seen a kid have a tantrum at the shops or maybe at the airport when they lie down on the ground and they just go "Ugh," with all their fists and their feet. And I don't know about you, but many times I've looked at that and thought, yes, I can relate. And I also would like to do that. But you try not to because you're supposed to be some sort of adult that doesn't. But there is a lady who has had a meltdown and people are saying that she's had an adult tantrum.
Right.
At an airport, Milan airport, because they weighed her suitcase and it was too heavy.
Right.
And she just couldn't handle it.
Oh.
But there is people just wait around her. The security did an amazing job because they tried to talk to her and she just wasn't ready. So she's laying on the floor. She's kicking and screaming. People are watching and they just wait.
Do they regularly have the same say the same thing you do with your kid? You go, they'll tire out in a minute.
Yeah.
They'll run out of steam.
Well, she did. They didn't let her on the fly.
Right.
And then once she'd come down, they booked her on another flight.
How embarrassing, though, from there, you throw that big tantrum and then you do stop eventually, but you have to stand up and brush yourself off. And you're like, okay.
But do you think someone that would do that would be embarrassed by it, you know?
Well, I guess eventually you cool off, don't you?
But if you've just been at that, boiling time, I think I had a cry, a public cry at a train station in Sydney because I was supposed to go for a new job and I'd missed it. And, when it was delayed and I just burst loud crying.
Yeah.
Which normally I'd look back and go, oh my gosh, how embarrassing. But I was like, oh my God. And then people are like, you're right. I'm like, yeah.
And if you'd have got on that train and got that job, though, you wouldn't be sitting here, real sliding doors
Oh
moment.
my God, don't make me cry again.
Walked into
I'm
that
presuming
one.
you have not had a tantrum as an adult in public, have you? You guys?
No, not like that.
You just jip it in.
Yep.
The only one that I do remember, and it was embarrassing, was we were somewhere. We're doing an outside broadcast and I was at another radio station and technically none of it was working.
Yes.
And we were off air here and there and I was like, let's just go back to the studio. Let's get out of here at 6 o'clock in the morning. And they're like, no, we'll make it work. We'll make it work. After about 40 minutes, I was like, I'm out of here. I'm going back to the studio. And I walk off to my car, thinking I'm going to drive off.
Yeah. Did you not have the keys?
Forgot my keys.
Oh my God.
No.
So I had to, after going, this is ridiculous. I'm out of here. I'm going back to the studio. And then I had to come back and go, has anyone seen my keys?
Actually, yes, you
Has
always used to
anyone
have
got
adult
that?
tantrums.
Come on.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, yeah, you used to say he was
Yes.
You and I worked together for 2 weeks before I came here.
Yes, you
Every day.
did. You were a little bit, yeah.
The best one I ever saw was when I worked up at Channel 10 and beside us there was a kids show that was filmed.
Yeah.
And one of the characters was a giant mouse because he was it was a play on computer mouse and a mouse, right? And he got fired up at his director one day and he just snapped and he was just yelling at his director. But he was in full mouse costume.
Oh, the best.
And the tail was just going sick at the back.
And it would have been real muffled as well.
No, he had face paint, but we're being yelled at with someone with a little black nose and little whiskers.
Yeah.
He's like, this isn't working.
It's like my friends that do kids' parties. I was like, imagine them getting angry when they're on their way to a kids' party as a fairy.
Yes.
Or Elsa.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
it happens.
You're like, no way. You'd have to do it if you dealt with, if you're in customer service, I think people would have meltdowns.
Yeah, definitely. Retail.
Retail would be the worst for it. But when they don't, it's usually when people try to return things, wouldn't it be? And they're damaged and they don't let them get their money back or something like that.
Yeah. Or even like hospitality, when you get your food wrong, your order wrong and stuff, people snap there.
Yeah, I'm usually too hungry to wait for the next thing to come back.
Or you never want to send it back to the kitchen.
Yeah. Don't ever do that.
You're like,
God,
nah,
yeah.
that's all right. Yeah.
Yes, I would love to get the cheeseburger with spit in it. 13 10 60. Have you had someone throw a tantrum before? A customer?
Or are you going to admit
whoever.
that it was yourself?
Yeah, maybe you've done it. Sometimes you do get pushed to breaking point, I guess. Yeah. 13 10 60. We will take your calls next to B105.
Stav, Abby and Matt for breakfast. B105.
Adult tantrums, I mean, when kids do it, it's just getting that energy out,
Yeah.
that frustration. And adults need to do that too. That's why a lady had a meltdown at Milan. She's obviously gone shopping, and they weighed her suitcase, and it was too heavy. So she had to pay a lot of money. She just couldn't handle it.
Was her husband standing beside her saying, I told you, babe.
We waited at the apartment. I told you.
I don't know.
You don't
People
need all
around
that
said
stuff.
it was very embarrassing. But they just waited for her to finish and then booked her onto another flight.
Dave in Boondall. Hey, mate.
Hey, mate, how are you?
Good. Adult tantrums.
Yeah, mate, my grandfather and I were playing golf at Virginia 15, 20 years ago. And the 10th tee there, you hit off across the lake. And we watched a guy put about 4 or 5 balls into the lake. And then he picked up his golf bag, chucked the whole thing in the lake and stormed off towards the car park. And then he come back about 5 minutes later and jumped into the lake, dragged out his golf clubs. And my grandfather, being my grandfather, said, nice to see you finally come to your senses. The guy just looked at us, grabbed his car keys out of the bag and then threw the bag back in the lake and stormed off again.
I just needed the keys.
The best.
Wow. He's done.
Golf. Look, I would say that was unbelievable, but having seen how annoyed even Stav just got playing, it is a frustrating sport.
It can be.
Oh, that's
Definitely.
the best.
Yeah.
That is the best. I'm not going to judge that man because I reckon I could find myself there during a game one time.
Yeah.
Kareen in Woodridge? What's your adult tantrum story? Good.
Yeah. Firstly, guys, I'm long-time listener, third-time caller.
Hey,
I love
nice
you
one.
guys so much.
Oh, thank you.
You're amazing. I love listening to you every day. I try to get on as many times as I can, but...
Oh, we want to get to hear you.
We love you and we really want to get our compliment, but it's very hard to hear you at the moment.
Yeah, sorry, my daughter's actually having a tantrum at the moment. So that's perfect timing. But basically, my tantrum, I went working as a childcare centre and I actually got let go. So I was in a meltdown. I had
Yeah, sorry,
Kareen,
Kareen.
we
She
can't
said that
hear
she
you.
had a meltdown. We want to hear from you later. We'll
Yeah.
get her on for the podcast.
She had. Oh, Kareen
someone-
had the meltdown.
Yeah, she did. She got let go from a job.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's because she's on hands free there, so she's obviously in the middle of something.
So she had a full meltdown in a childcare.
In the childcare.
Oh, you poor thing.
At least they would have understood what was going on.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's a deep breath. I really want to hear the story though. She's
do I.
self-confessed. Tantrum. No, she doesn't have time to pull over.
No.
Does she?
Too loud.
All right, I'm going to throw a tantrum over
was
that.
gonna
Damn
say.
you, Kareen. No.
Stab Abby and Matt for breakfast. B105.
Because he lives are affecting everybody. Cost of living crisis that we find ourselves in at the moment. And everyone's just trying to do their best to save where they can. And one
I
of
only giggle because it used to always be like COVID times. Like, when do we get, like, does anyone tell us when we're out of it?
No,
No.
we're never out of a crisis.
No.
Okay, all right, okay, sure.
No.
Yeah.
If there's no crises, the world will not be spinning.
That's true. Be nothing to report on. And I don't know
How
where
wonderful.
I don't know where you guys stand on this because it is something that we used to do as a kid growing up. But Caitlin, our internet guru, did something yesterday because she needed to save some money. Caitlin, what medical profession did you turn to and in their student form?
The ophthalmologist,
Ophthalmologist. Yeah.
one step up from the optometrist.
Ah, right.
Because that's what I was like. I was like, wait a minute, optometrist is included in your Medicare. So I thought you were just doing an eye test. But no, you went to a specialist.
But you went to a student specialist. Now,
Correct.
everyone's got to learn somehow. But I think a lot of people are like, no, I don't want the student anything.
Well, how much did it cost you?
It was free.
Free.
Do you know what? I support that because I went to see one and they were very expensive. And you know what? They just agreed with the optometrist.
Yeah, the quote was like $500 or $600,
Wow.
but it did take like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, that's what you pay with your time is what you pay with.
My
Yeah.
time is worthless.
You know what? I would go to a student ophthalmologist, but I would not let an apprentice cut my hair.
I know. We used to go to the hairdressing school in Stones Corner.
I avoid them anytime. I hate that conversation. I'm sure you've ever seen it. It happens near the one of your ass when I take Xander to get his hair cut, and they'll come out, and the apprentice, poor guy, walks up to a group of fellas.
Yeah.
He goes, anyone here happy to have an apprentice haircut? And everyone stops and looks at each other like, someone say yes.
No.
Because no one wants to.
Did anyone say yes?
Occasionally you'll get the guy who's just getting a buzz cut. He'll say it.
Do you not? I realised we actually just went and saw a student psychiatrist.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They do it at the university. So they're like last year.
Yeah.
And then it's like really cheap. And then someone else has to overlook.
So there's a proper one there with them at the same time?
No, it's just them. Because they're like final year. And I think it's something like $20. And they do assessments for kids as well for school.
Right.
So, yeah, it's a psychology school. And then what I meant was they have to give their notes to someone else. And
They check them.
Which when you think about it, you're like, was this advice right? No, that was totally wrong. Well, they've actually gone
They've
out.
gone. Do they follow up with you and say, hey, heads up, we did tell you all the right stuff?
No, I don't think so.
Those ones they only call if they need to.
Well, it's just because to go and get kids getting assessed for like learning support and stuff like that is so expensive. And plus, the kids like them because they're a little bit younger.
Okay, right. And then there's always got to be a first time for everything.
That's
I've
true.
said no for surgery.
Student surgeons.
Well, they like to be there. And I was like, because I'm going under.
What do you think they're going to do?
I just don't want too many people in the room. With what?
I don't know. I wasn't in the room.
I did.
I wouldn't do...
You tick that little box. And
Yeah.
I was like,
that wouldn't bother me. I wouldn't do student dentist.
You did.
Yeah, but that was my mum sent me. I didn't have any choice.
Right.
But I wouldn't do that again.
To Owie?
It's just, I don't like them professional,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Awful people.
Yeah.
I've been to heaps. I used to get student massages.
Oh, yeah?
So they're like final year or I don't know how long, and then they have someone else. They have someone else in the room. I think it was like honestly, it was under $10.
Wow, okay.
But then someone is commenting the whole time, and you got to pretend that you don't know. But they're like, oh, and I remember them saying, "See this muscle here? That's underdeveloped in her." And I was like, "Her is in the room." That was not relaxing.
No, it wouldn't be. Is the pressure okay? Sure. There's. I know everyone needs to have a go, but I'm not a fan of it.
You just prefer them not to tell you.
Yes, you know what, that's probably the way to go about it.
How'd your vasectomy go? You're not going to believe this. This is my first time.
My first one. I did a double knot, to be sure.
They pull out a machete. They go, it'll be fine. Trust me. Don't worry about the rust. 131060. Have you ever used a learning someone? So
Yes.
it could be anything.
Apprentice,
Tattooist.
student doctor.
Oh, I did the tattoo one.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, your
Friend's
friend's
daughter.
kid. Yeah. So, and how did that go for you? Because I'm sure, you know what they say, you only learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, that's true.
Good point.
So, 131060, we'll get you on next.
Stab Abby and Matt for breakfast. B105.
You're an apprentice.
I'm still an apprentice.
Apprentice.
Why did you choose them over us?
It's cheaper.
Yes. Have you ever gone to an apprentice something to save money? Maybe. They got to learn somewhere. Everyone's someone's first time at something.
Yeah, how did it go for you? That's the big question too.
Vicky and Griffin, what did you use?
I used a public hospital to give birth to twins, and they allowed all the students to come in to do cervical exams.
Oh.
Did you have to approve that or?
Yes, they do ask you to approve that.
Yes.
But it was not my first child, and I figured they had to learn somewhere. So,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of people have twins naturally. They're usually a cesarean, so
Yeah.
they thought it was a good experience for the students.
So how many kids was that and what numbers were they?
It was number 5 and 6.
Oh, so you were like, I'll teach you guys. There we go.
I guess then if that is quite rare for someone to naturally have twins, how many students did they bring in?
So I was in labour for more than 22 hours, so it was 2 shifts of students, and there was about 20 each time.
Wow.
So were they around, I mean, I know it's hard for you to kind of remember, but were they around taking notes or were they talking through it?
Both. So they would come in as a group,
Yeah.
and then they would ask if any of them would like to do a cervical exam, and they would all be like, yes, me.
Of course. 'Cause, I mean, they're keen to learn.
Yeah, we just wanted to save some money because I was a surrogate for gay friends of mine.
Oh,
and
wow.
so we'd already spent a lot of money on the legal side. So we thought, public hospital, that'll be a good idea.
Oh,
So what an
Vicky.
interesting story. So this one was surrogate. Is that what you said?
Yes, correct.
Oh, wow. How exciting. And do you still have a lot to do with the kids?
Yes, I'm still mum, and it's Daddy B and Daddy G.
Cool.
Wow.
Vicky, you're right. That was like, they would have been ringing kids, not kids, students, and saying, hey, look,
in here.
this is a once-in-a-lifetime
Lifetime
case.
opportunity,
You
yeah.
have to get here. We have your exams and everything's sorted for you right now. Wow.
Yeah.
Good on you, Vicky.
You would have been teaching the doctors as well. Well,
Yeah.
actually, you're wrong here.
All right, Sue and Redcliffe, what student thing did you use? Hey, Sue.
I had trainee neurosurgeons and I had brain surgery.
Wow.
Were they on the tools?
I don't know because I was under anaesthetic for most of the operation.
Yeah.
They were certainly there when they were doing the, they setting you up and
Yes.
shoving the needles in and asking questions and blah, blah, blah. But I've had 2 lots of brain surgery. So the first one was an emergency and I didn't really care who did what.
Yeah.
And the second one was a bit weird because it was during the pandemic, so the hospital was very quiet and, weird. Wow. But it's a teaching hospital, and I guess I think they have to have a general GP type qualification, and then they start specialising. So they've got a fair bit of medical knowledge.
Yeah.
Yes. I had a
They don't go from schoolies, have a couple of weeks off, and then pop in there with you, Sue, and have a poke around, do they?
I might be a brain
I have
surgeon.
to be honest,
Yeah.
I thought some of them looked that young.
Yeah,
Did
right. Yeah.
But I mean, that's kudos to you though, because they do need to learn, and that is like the top surgery.
Yeah, and you can't learn on not real people.
But yeah, and look, I'm getting all that really specialised, expensive care for nothing, and I figure, the give back is they want to learn, and I was, they don't have brain aneurysms every day, so I was a bit of a novelty.
Yeah.
But yeah. But, and the young ones, they're still lovely and friendly and all that, whereas the neurosurgeons, the specialists, they're like, I was a set of symptoms that they had to resolve.
Yeah, right.
So you want to look at them and say, hey, just so you know, don't become like them.
Yeah. Hey, Alex.
Hey, how are you?
Good. What student did you have?
A gynecology student. So that was fun.
Yeah, so I've never ticked yes for that. You were like, yep.
Well, I was only 19. I was already nervous as heck. So I went to my gynecologist and she said to me, I can give you a discounted rate. I have a student here. Are you happy for them to come in? And I'm thinking, 4th year, female, probably 22.
Yep.
Awesome. Yep, sure, no worries. And then next minute, she goes and gets the student, and it is one of the hottest humans I've ever seen. It was this 22-year-old male. And not only did I have to be in there for a check, I had to have an internal scan. She said, do you mind if he does this for you? So I'm this blend of mortified, but going, oh my God, this guy's super hot, and this is what a way to meet.
And that's how I met your mother.
And you can't say now, I'm so sorry, I didn't realise he would be like this, so no now.
100%. I'd already committed. Got the discount, is what it is.
Would it have made you feel better if they weren't attractive?
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
You don't want a gynecologist to be hot. That's no.
It's confusing.
Or what? So
Yes,
do you...
it is. Thank you for putting it so well. It's very confusing.
Good on you, Alex. Thanks for calling.
Stab Abby and Matt for breakfast. B105.